Frank Warren, I mean, we are now just weeks away from what many are calling the fight of the century. Give us your you must be so excited about this one.
Well, people are right. It is the fight of the century. I mean, this is 4 belts on the line.
8. Remember Tyson corrected you at the press conference.
4 what we'd say recognised belt, and there are other belts there as well, but the important ones, the recognised ones, are on the line, and it's 2 undefeated fighters who are considered to be the best in the world. People have got an opinion who's the best out of the 2 of them. You've got Usyk, who's done everything that's been asked of him as an amateur, Olympic champion, turned professional, became the best cruiserweight of his generation, undefeated. Been a heavyweight, gone up to heavyweight, been a heavyweight for, 4 years now, done everything that's been asked of him. Going in with the lineal champion, who's beaten the best fighter of his generation a few years ago in Klitschko, going to the other guy's backyard as an underdog, big underdog. Had some problems, times out the ring, well documented, and then goes to the States to fight a guy who's a world champion for 6 years, undefeated for 6 years, and statistically was the hardest punching heavyweight, according to the statistics, of all time, in Deontay Wilder. And got robbed. He won that fight, but got robbed.
But it's all led to...
Well, of course it has, and you can go through all the history. You look at it, and it's got to a stage where it is now, where we was all, as Brits, we want to see him in with Joshua, because Joshua was the guy. But this guy came over to Joshua's backyard and done a job on him and won the fight, and then in the rematch did the same thing again. So this is historic. This is a big moment in sport, not just boxing, but in sport.
Tell me, when you first got with Tyson around his comeback, this second phase of Tyson's career, those meetings at BT Sport where you're taking him in, and you took the punt. I guess you took the punt on him. He was overweight at the time. What did you see in him around those times where you thought, he's still got it, he's going to do something? Well,
it went back to when I first actually, promoted him. And that was, I can't remember what year, it's probably about 2000 and, I don't know, 12, 13, whenever he fought Chisora the second time.
14, yeah.
14, yeah. Right. So what happened was I met with him, I remember it was over the Christmas, Bill Ives, late Bill Ives, who was my partner in Box Nation. We had a meeting with him and his uncle at the time. And I was talking to him, and I could just see there was something about him, and Chisora was with us. He was coming off of 6 really good wins, beating quality fighters. And I wanted to make the fight, and I knew I could get the 2 of them in and make it an eliminator to fight Klitschko, who was the best heavyweight of his generation. And Tyson had I think he had one comeback fight, then he would have another one, sorry, not a comeback, he had one fight, then we decided to go, for whatever reason, we went straight to the fight. And I fancied Chisora to beat him, but he'd done such a job on Derek. I mean, Derek never won a second.
He's in Southpaw as well, Tyson.
He switching, he was doing everything. He just broke him up and took him apart. And Derek was on a roll. And going into that fight, a lot of people had Derek favourite, including myself. And he'd done a job on him. And I remember I said to him after that fight, I said, you fight like that. If you do that against Klitschko, you'll win. You'll beat him. And that's what he did. In the other guy's backyard. I mean, I thought, we were doing our best to get the fight in the UK, but anyway, it didn't happen. And then, as you just said, he had the time out for all sorts of various problems and, whatever. And I weren't quite aware of what was going on in his life, which was quite awful in as much that he was contemplating suicide at one time, which, he must be quite, imagine, to think you've got to end your life because that's the only way you can get rid of the pain. That must be a terrible place to be. And he, and we met. And the first thing I did when we was talking about the first thing I noticed how big he was, all the weight he'd put on through, he was boozing and doing whatever else he was doing, gorging food and whatever. And he was vastly overweight. But, I looked him in the eye, and what I got about it, I got that thing in his eye that I see that night when he fought Derek Chisora. I just see it. I could see it. There was something there. I knew he could do it. And I liked him, by the way. I liked Tyson. I liked working with him because he's good fun to be around. I did like working with him. And, you know, and then I had to convince BT, because we had a contract with him at the time. I had to go into BT back then and say to him, listen, you know, this is what we want to do. This is my belief. This is what I feel can happen. I think he'll spearhead the heavyweight division for Queensberry and for BT, and I think we'll wind up becoming the strongest force in the division. I think this guy will win the title, and you know, they went with it. It was, you know, we had the meeting. It was a fun meeting. It all happened, and the rest was, you know, Tyson. You know, Tyson did it. I mean, I gave him the platform in some ways, but he went and done what he had to do in the ring, and you know, it was good for Tyson, and it was really, really good for us, and it, you know, we both got a lot out of it, you know, as a business, as a, you know, and I suppose like as a friendship and so on. But we both, it was good for both. It was a good thing that, you know, we both benefited from it in a big way, and it was, and I enjoyed it, and I still do enjoy it, and I could see how it, you know, as I say, he has that thing about him. He's got that confidence in him, and that self-belief, and it's the same as he is now, especially today, talking today and looking at him and look how well he looks, and provided he doesn't peak too soon, and he, you know, he just works up into getting into the best condition he can be in, and he's in great condition now. He could fight tomorrow. I think he's going to be a real big handful for Usyk.
You've talked about Usyk a couple of times now being a crybaby, Frank.
He's a crybaby. He was a crybaby in the fight against Daniel, and he's got fought for it. There's quite a few fights, not as an amateur as well, where if he gets caught to the body, I've seen him go on the floor when he gets caught to the body. But if he gets caught to the body, he doesn't like it, and you know, that's it. But he doesn't like it. He doesn't like it to the body, and that's. But in spite of that, he's undefeated. And in spite of that, he's a warrior, and he comes through. And I'm not disrespecting him. I'm just saying you know, I know my fighters, I know my boxing. I'm not an idiot, and I can look at a guy and I can study him and see what I think is you know, we've all got our strengths and weaknesses, and his one, which I'm surprised nobody bloody has banged on about at all, until the fight he had with Daniel, and then the fight with Daniel, you know. I don't want to go into all the debating about where it's like, but you know, for me it's a legitimate blow, and he didn't like it. He does not like it. He don't like it up.
For the first time since Tyson's first fight with Deontay Wilder, I'm seeing bookies starting to make the other guy the favourite. Just recently, Usyk started becoming a slight favourite against Tyson. What do you think of that? Does that surprise you?
Tyson going to Germany against Klitschko was the underdog. Bookie's favourite was Klitschko. Tyson going to fight Deontay Wilder the first fight, he was an underdog. Tyson in the second fight was the bookie's favourite. He's only been the bookie's favourite once, and that was the third fight.
Mm-hmm. And that was the hardest one.
And that was the hardest one. And that was the hardest one, for, you know, I think for a reason, because it was Tyson saying, right, come on, let's tough it out, and that's what happened. But you know what? If the bookies were right all the time, with what they was doing, saying the favourite's going to win all the time, in their opinion what the favourite is, then all you're going to be doing is lumping your money on the favourite, knowing you're going to win all the time.
Do you think Tyson will get credit if he wins this fight?
Oh, of course he will. The winner of this fight is the best heavyweight on the planet.
But will people say Usyk was too small?
Going to say. Why wouldn't they?
But this is what happens, right?
But he's not too small. He's a heavyweight. He's been a heavyweight for 4 years. You know, Holyfield was a cruiserweight. He was a heavyweight. People don't talk about him as a cruiserweight. Talk about a heavyweight. David Haye was a cruiserweight, but they talk about as a heavyweight champion of the world, even though he's a cruiserweight champion. And you can keep looking. There's loads of examples of that. Loads of examples of that. This is a tough fight for Usyk, and I think it's the toughest fight as he wants to make it for himself, Tyson.
Have you been surprised by Usyk? Because we understand that he does understand some English.
He understands every word you're saying.
So why is he not engaging with Tyson at press conferences?
Well, he's not wasting energy, is he? He's not getting into that.
So is that mind games
He's
then?
not
Tyson's wasting his
It's not
energy?
mind games. He's not going to, by doing that, he's not playing that game, is he? I mean, he's a smart guy. He's not a fool. And he's not engaged. He's just not engaged in it. And do you know, all that stuff means shit. It means nothing. When that bell goes, that's what counts. Because you know what? You've got to engage then. You've got no choice.
But this stuff, like, say for example, Vladimir Klitschko, right? Tyson races in Batman outfit. Klitschko's not in control. He's like, who is this guy? What is going on here? Deontay Wilder, years down the line, he's wearing headphones, so Tyson can't get in his head. Usyk's just not getting involved, not having it. There must be some advantage he's given himself by not letting Tyson in.
Well, you don't know where he's letting himself in. Maybe he's trying to phase himself out because he's worried about him getting in. Who knows? You know, look, whether he gets in or not is irrelevant. It's once that bell goes, because the amount, all that, it all goes out the window. Everything goes out the window once the bell goes. Once the bell goes, it's all over.
How will history remember the winner of this fight? Where can we start placing?
He will be the first heavyweight to hold the 4 major belts. He'll be the first heavyweight to hold all the belts in this century.
Are we talking top 5, top 10?
I think the winner of this fight will be up there with any of the great heavyweights. He'll be in there. And I think Tyson will be in there. I think Tyson, in any generation, would be one of the best heavyweights in any generation.
We cannot wait. Thank you, Frank.
It's a pleasure, mate.
All right.
God bless.
Cheers, boss.